Hello friends, today we're working on the log splitter. I want to do a quick video because I think this is something that everybody should consider depending on your log splitter or your setup. If you don't have return line filtration, you need to get rid of the dirt that gets accumulated in the system. And I'll tell you how that happens is most of the time the dirt gets dragged in past the rod seal. Now the rod's fully retracted right now so you can't see it, but as that rod strokes in and out cutting the wood, debris falls on the shaft and it gets dragged in past through the seals. Now there is wipers on there, but they're not 100% effective. So this is the control valve. That's an energy valve. I know they're made in the States. This particular valve has a snap return for the return stroke, and it clicks off automatically when the return comes back. It's a good valve. It's got some minor seepage, but nothing real bad. The previous owner obviously had to freeze up and beat the hell out of it with something because it's got hammer marks all over it, which is something that I don't recommend. Now as far as fitting wise, there's a mishmash of stuff going on here. That's black MPT. Just general water pipe, which is fine. This is a return circuit, so it's fine for that. I don't generally have a problem with that. Using 125 pound fittings, that's the rating of this fitting. This is 150 pound or higher fitting. I can't see the rating on it. That's a heavy forged fitting. That's a good fitting, high quality. And there's, I think, a galvanized nipple in there. And the tank's clearly homemade. There's no way to put oil in it, so I had to take this return line off to dump oil in it. I have no way of telling where the oil is. I'm not going to unbolt the cover. That's the vent. It's made out of a big chunk of what is that? About 8-inch square tubing, and it's way undersized. I'll tell you that right now. It is far too undersized for this system. It doesn't even, and it gets pretty warm. So I thought what I'm going to do is I'm going to rebuild the whole sub-assembly of the splitter, and I'm going to put a new axle under it because this is some kind of car stuff welded up. And when I do that, what I'd like to do is make it a lot better. So you can see this in here. That's just jankified junk there. So that's what my mission is going to be. Honda engine, it's getting a little rattly. I'm going to do a rebuild on it, do a video on that, and then we'll keep going from there. But this is the project for today. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove my return line, which is this one here with a couple of little minor kinks in it. This guy right here. So this is the pressure inlet from the pump. I don't recommend 2,500 psi through cast fittings. Now they do tend to hold up, but they also tend to pop. So that's pressure from the pump, comes all the way up. Flow goes into the inlet valve. From the inlet valve, if nothing is happening, it goes straight back to the outlet side, goes straight back to tank, and this is where we're going to put the filter in this circuit. When you make a function, it either goes to A port or B port, depending on the direction. And this is a directional valve, so it'll either drive the rod out or bring it back. And that's the whole job of the valve. The relief valve is built. I don't see it in the main valve, in the control valve. Sorry, so I believe it's a component of the pump. There's a built-in relief valve, and it is a 2-stage pump, so it kicks into high gear. I'll have to read the pump specs and verify that the relief valve is indeed in the pump. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this hose, and we'll get started on this. I can't remember how easy it removed. I didn't bring a pair of pliers out. The screwdriver I'm using is my old SK screwdrivers, and my Facebook friend, Watch Wes Work, WWW, He uses a lot of SK tools, I noticed. And they were phenomenal tools when you could get them in Canada. See, this is really tight. There we go. It's sucking a little bit of air there, it's okay. And that's typical what you'll see. There's nipples, just regular nipples used for hose barbs. So I'm going to get the pipe wrench going here. Let's see if we can't spin this off. This does not take long at all to do this job. Carrying one handy. Good thing it's an aluminum pipe wrench, because that makes it quite easy to do. I can't see what's going on in there. Can you see? Yeah. I don't know where the oil level is at. I have no idea. No idea telling. Yeah, the fitting goes in there. There's something in there. I can't tell what it is. But it goes in quite a ways. Okay, I'm going to hold on a minute and I'll be right back. Yeah, there is lots of dirt in there. You can see the dirt in the oil. So we're going to see what happens. We're going to clean this oil up with this filter. Stand by. So I got the, I decided to take the fitting that was in here out, and I'm going to put a street elbow in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry it out. And then I have to, believe this or not, friends, I got to put a T in here to be able to put oil in this. This system is not going to stay here long. I really don't have a choice. I got to get some wood split. I got to get all this mess cleaned up. So, and I don't like the looks of the dirt that's moving around in this oil. So I wanted to put the filter on now, so that when I rebuild my whole system, I know that my system's going to be clean. My cylinder will be clean. My valve will be clean. My pump will be clean. I'm going to try to get, that's the best way to do it. Changing out oil, I'm going to tell you right now, I've been a mechanic for 35 years. Changing out oil is not as efficient as you think it is. It is considerably better to try to filter the oil that you have. The old oil becomes the media to carry out all the dirt. And then once the dirt is removed, that's when I recommend to go ahead and change out your oil. Because basically, if you just dump the oil and put fresh oil in, all you're doing is contaminating fresh oil with a lot of dirt. So in industry, what we like to do is we'll keep filtering and filtering and filtering over again. So
similar to what we did with our tractor. Kind of different thing, water contamination, but we weren't sure how contaminated the whole transmission system and everything was, so we went out instead of buying full bore pricey top shelf stuff and went out and bought cheaper oil. And,
yeah, that system though, we had a problem with water.
We had a problem with water, but
water you can't generally filter out, so we had to dump it, and we're putting a cheaper oil in to do the job of cleaning stuff up. So I'm going to show you something real quick. I'm not affiliated with Loctite products whatsoever, but this is Loctite 565 thread sealant. It's a PT thread sealant. It is liquid. You can see there. This is what you use in hydraulics. Throw away the Teflon tape. I don't care what anybody says. You can argue till your head falls off. Teflon tape does not belong into hydraulics. It's just that simple. It will migrate. The stuff will tear off. I don't care how careful you are. You will end up. I was in heavy equipment for 15 years, and all I did was pull out Teflon tape out of everything. And it was a constant. So Jake's going to film me. I'll throw in a couple of nipples just to show you how easy stuff goes, or a couple of pipe fittings. So this is already leaking a fair amount of oil's gone through it. So again, it's the 565. I hope there's enough in here.
And just to extend on what he said, hydraulic systems can become fairly complex. And if you do have that Teflon tape get caught up in a directional control somewhere or something, it can turn into a big headache really fast.
Put it to you this way: you do not want Teflon tape stuck in a proportional control valve. These are what's commonly called in the industry as bang bang valves. They're, to a degree. There is some metering that you can do with these Some of these spools are made for metering. There's motor spools. There's all kinds of different thing that goes on. But generally speaking, a proportional control valve is a really expensive system. The level of cleanliness that you have to make it function properly. You do not want Teflon tape. So if you take anything away from this video, when you're working with hydraulics, and all you farm guys, throw away the Teflon tape. That's for irrigation. Don't use it in your hydraulics.
Air fittings maybe, but
now,
not.
Quick note on street fittings. This is a street elbow I put in. You get lucky if you get the elbow to the point where you need it. That's why I don't recommend street fittings, but here I'm doing this down and dirty, and it worked out that my elbow's probably in a position where I got it tight enough where it's not going to leak. So I'm okay with that. So I'm almost out of this. I got to get another tube. It's got to be some in the garage. So that's all it takes, and then I take my finger and I'll roll it around. And this is going into the tank. Like I said, I have to put a
T in
to get oil in it, because the guy that built the tank decided that it may never need oil. So I don't know how he got the oil in it. I'm assuming when the lid was off. But last year I put oil in this, and I had to take the return hose off, and I could tell it needed oil because I could feel the temperature in the tank, and I could feel that because it was so cold out, the heat really didn't flow that well. Where am I going here? Nope. Oh, yeah, I need nipple out to the return line cartridge head. So maybe I should have put dope on that. Yeah, it does not take a lot. It does a good job.
about a third around to a half around, and or thinner all the way around, and it seals up pretty good.
Yeah, it does seal up pretty good.
It's good stuff.
Now this is gonna look a little crazy, I think, because it's sticking out so far, but you know what? This is for now. I'm just trying to clean this system up. And I need an access port to dump oil in it. Filter. This is a buyer's head. Here's the part number. I don't know if you can find it. 10 micron. I'd be surprised if it got down to 10. I'm thinking more so 25, 30 micron, but we'll see. So it has an arrow flow. So the arrow flow here is what you want that is to flow back to tank. So we're going to make it so that it flows to the tank. So, and you can see I'm doing all this at once, and then we'll do the final adjustment, because I want to get it fairly tight. Again, the T in there, you normally wouldn't have this because you would have a place to dump oil into the system, but I do not. And I'm not going crazy tight here. I'm going tight enough. So, now I'll be able to put a return line filter. I'll be able to put a return line filter in either side here. Or sorry, return line back pressure indicator gauge in the return line filter at any point that I desire, and I think I will do that, but not right now. So as you can see, we ain't going to make it with our hose, so I got a new piece of hose.
If you build back pressure, does that mean you're bypassing past your cylinder?
No. If you see back pressure in the gauge,
it means the filter's dirty.
The filter's dirty. So that'll probably go up to 25 psi. If you don't have a red-green gauge, we used to call them, you don't really need a red-green gauge. You just use a regular 0 to 30 gauge, and if it shows you 25 psi, there's a bypass valve in here. Let me see the camera. Be able to show you guys. There, you're looking at it right there. That's the filter bypass valve. So what that does is it prevents anything from exploding. So you don't want nothing to explode, obviously. Now, do I want to do this? I've got a couple of options here. I can do this, or I can do a loop. Would have liked to have had another. Could I have elbowed that? No, it's getting too tight. I'm getting too fancy. That's my problem, is I always tend to get too fancy. So what I'll do is I'll just put a regular looped, trying to think, this is going to be in my way. So as I operate. So I'm going to put an elbow in there.
Keep it as tight as we can.
And then I'll just do an elbow like that. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, I'll pause the... Okay, so I took out the pipe nipples that were used for return hose, because this is a 1-inch piece of hose. And my return line is 3/4 inch that I bought. So this is going to go in place of the 1-inch hose on the nipples. So just a quick rundown what we did before. The T is only to fill the system, and yeah, it's not right, but there's no way to fill it with this sealed tank. Well, it's not truly, it's just got a vent right here. That's a vent. Let me get that out of the way. That's just the vent right there, that hole. So crazy. So that's where we're going to fill it from for now, because I got to add some oil because of the filter. Upside, it adds a little more cooling. Downside, it's just getting cluttered looking. But that's okay. This will all be coming off, and I'm going to redesign this thing. I'm going to move the tank back a bit, so it is going to be nicer when we get to it. So here we go. So that's hose barb fitting. Hose barb 3/4 inch into 3/4 inch pipe. Let me get this fitted, and then we'll come back. Alright, went back to the shop, and I got a little bit of grease here. And what I'm doing is I'm greasing up these nipples, lubricating them, because the hose is a bear to push on these things. So a little bit of grease. I don't care what you use. White grease. White grease is probably, white lithium is probably the best, because it's inert. Which is the piece, this is the piece we're using. Jake, you want to hold that? Get a film on this. So I'll put a little bit of grease inside the pipe.
You can do this on air fittings too, because they can be tricky too.
Now what we're using here, thermoid, never heard of it. It's probably offshore. It's called Maxicon, which was probably maximum economy. GP, general purpose, non-conductive. So that means it does not conduct electricity. 3/4 inch ID or 19.1 mil, 250 psi working pressure. I do not know how compatible this is
with oil.
Now, compatibility means a couple of things. Will it fail immediately, or will it fail in a few months, or what happens? Will it degrade? Will it come apart? Will it pollute the system? I'm going to say it probably won't, because what it feels like is PVC. It doesn't feel like EPDM. EPDM is the kiss of death in a hydraulic system that's using oil-based. So you can forget that. If you do that, you're in for big trouble. So you want nitrile, Buna. I mean, I imagine PVC may tend to get brittle. I think it's polyurethane's another good one. So be careful. Do not use EPDM hose. Like if you got stuck and you thought maybe using a garden hose, if it's EPDM, which some are, or some of the ag spray hoses, you're in trouble. Oh, let's push this on. Now that goes on quite easily after it's been lubed. And we'll push this guy on. You can see that's a little bit more considerable force required to get it on, but no.
Without lube, you could struggle with that pretty good.
All day to make that connection.
These push lock kind of stuff with the serrades can be very difficult to get on.
This is really a bear. I don't even think you need a clamp. Okay, that's on.
Yeah, you'd almost have to cut that to get it off.
Oh yeah.
It won't come off with the pull. We're putting clamps on, but
Now I'm going to point this out of the way because I don't want to cut myself on the clamp. So you'll see when I get this tightened down. These tags that hang off the bottom of these worm gear clamps can be at times sharp. And
that's why on airlines we recommend Oetiker clamps.
yeah, we don't use these on. See? Get this tightened down. Like I said, I'm not overly worried about it popping off. Just to make sure. And a quick rundown. What we are doing today is I think is putting a return line filter on a hydraulic system that does not have it. Now I think what I'm going to tell you is I bought that filter. It was about $24. This is my just Canadian Amazon. It's buyers. Let me see if I can turn this down. They do a lot of hydraulics. You know, snowplow stuff, that kind of thing. Then that's where I connect the name to. Again, I'm not affiliated in any of these guys. I'm just going to let you know if something works good, what to spend your money on. Because I'm more looking for quality than I am for the hype. So, just a quick rundown. Let me have the camera. There we go. Sorry for the... this is my jankified fill port to add oil. My return line filter. You can see the flow is indicating, back to tank. In a few minutes I'm going to add a return line gauge, or to return line filter indicator gauge. I used the street elbows because I had them. A new piece of return line hose back into the valve. So I think my total outlay, say $12, say $20 in fittings, and $10 worth of hose and the filter. So 25, $50 maybe. In the US, you guys can do it better, the gauge. Yeah, so we're going to call it $75 upgrade to the log splitter. I'll get the gauge in, and then we'll go from there. Stand by. Alrighty. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking out the plug. It's in the upstream side of the filter head. So what you want to do is you want to measure the backflow, resistance to flow to the tank. The valve is right here. Here's the port for the gauge. There's a port on either side. It's nicely. Sometimes you won't find these heads drilled and tapped, i.e. like this. You'll find it none of it's drilled or tapped. You can. I've done it before. I have drilled them and tapped them and put MPTs in there. You can buy heads without a bypass valve, and I don't recommend that because you can blow this up. You can blow off the hose. These filters can become plugged enough to give you a world of trouble that you do not want. Sorry, I'm one-handing this. I'm trying to get the gauge ready to put in because I do want to monitor it. Just more so out of curiosity than anything. I'm hoping my gauge will fit. Yeah, it seems to be fitting. Is it rubbing into the housing? Maybe a little bit. That might be a problem. I'll let you know. I have lots of gauges, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it anyway. It doesn't affect the zero of the gauge at all. Hang on one more turn. There. So there you go. 0 to 30 gauge. I think I'm okay. System's all there. So that'll be it. I'm gonna shut the camera off for a second, get my tools cleaned up, and then I'm gonna give it a try. Fire it up and see what we got for leaks, and then we'll cycle it. So you guys saw it sitting still at 0. Well, you know what? let's just do this. Let's just do this while we're at it, just because everybody else would. Right now, because of the temperature, we're at 12 psi. We're going to see if that comes down or it goes up. That's pretty high. It's bouncing around at 12 there. This oil is just completely filthy. I'm going to run this for a bit and then we'll see what's happened. I'm really surprised at where this is reading at. We're gonna see. I'm gonna see how long it takes to go into bypass. I've got a feeling it will. Stand by and we'll pick up the video in a bit. Okay, I ran it for a bit, split some logs, and I got some interesting things to show you. First of all, this street fitting, it's got a drip. That's why I don't recommend street fittings, is because I will not get it to go another revolution to get it tighter without it dripping. So it's got a very, very, very minute leak. It's fine for now. We're going to leave it. I'm going to show you something on the gauge when I get it back up and running. Everything else seems to be okay. I don't have anything crazy going on. I'm going to add some oil to it. So I don't know what you use in your splitter, either AW 40, is it AW 46 or I'm using AW 32. Because I do tend to use this in cold weather. I bought this from our local store, which is Canadian Tire. I think I paid $16 or something for the jug. So it's about $3 a liter-ish, in the neighborhood of $3.50 a liter. So I guess that's okay. So here's why the T. I have no way of putting oil in this system because it is closed. I have no way of checking the oil. So this is kind of a guess. What I think is okay. There. There's the reason for the T. It's not great. It's not a great method, but it does work. So let me put you on standby here. Well, no, you know what I'm going to do? We're going to start this thing back up, and I'll show you the final clip. So there it is. One tiny leak. Like I said, street elbows suck. And they certainly suck in black iron, and they probably suck in galvanized. So I added oil to the system. No idea where the level is. It's not super critical in this application. At least with the street elbow on this setup, you had the chance to get it lined up, phased probably because you had two sets of threads to work with. But not so on the other one. So there we go. Go back around. The oil pressure went down, the return line filter resistance. And I'll tell you why that is. It's because the oil's warming up and the viscosity is changing, it's getting thinner. So there you go. And you can see my leak up there underneath that street elbow. The drip is just about to happen any time now. And I don't really think I can do anything with that. There it is there. That's why we don't use street elbow, so I'm going to let that go for now. And I'll get a couple of regular elbows and we'll fix it up later on. But there you go, we're down to 9 pounds. We started at 12. So that's a reduction of 3 psi. And that's strictly due to viscosity change of temperature, as the oil is beginning to warm up. So there you go. That's it in a nutshell. A couple of tiny dribbles. We'll live with it for now. If you were doing this the right way, you would buy the right fittings. I just need this. I'm really getting worried about the splitter, so I want to try to clean up the oil to clean all my system before I switch it over to the new tank. And I'm going to build a new trailer. So that's it. I hope you got something from this. And if you like it, don't forget to ring the bell, subscribe, check back often for more more make do projects. Make do with what you got the farming way. We'll talk to you soon. Bye now.